Hey everybody and Into the Music World. I'm Andy. That's Greg. No, it's not. Fuck.
Is that
You're not Greg.
I've been meaning to talk to you about this Greg fixation.
Yeah, I know. It's getting a little
Your
out of
girlfriend
hand.
told me she wasn't happy. And you called her
I've been calling her Gregorio on the regular.
that.
It's showtime, folks.
Hey everybody out there and Into the Music World. I'm Andy. That's your boy John, and we are here to check out some music. And that means, John, you are up to bat. What have you got for me, sir?
So, cast your mind back, way back, maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks. Greg did a thing where he gave you a little Pete Shelley festival of a Buzzcocks and a Pete Shelley song.
Yes.
Yes. And I think you quite enjoyed it, So I thought I'd give you my favorite Buzzcocks song.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really liked Pete. Like I got a pretty quick tutorial on the guy Pete Shelley and sort of the guy and the music, and I really sort of found both pretty interesting. So and not only the stuff he did with the Buzzcocks, but the stuff he did like you mentioned that was kind of solo when they were on that long hiatus or whatever. So yeah, man, throw it to me. What's the name of the tune?
Autonomy.
Autonomy.
Yeah.
From what I recall about Pete Shelley, I have a feeling what the nature of the song is about. But yeah, let me go scope it out, and I'll come back and let you know what I think. I love that guitar riff so much. There's some really nice bass happening too when things are really kicking off. And hats off to the drummer because he started the song great, and there's been nothing but like really good fills throughout it thus far. And I am enjoying this song. So yeah, this is more Buzzcocks that are checking the box for me so far. I've been really impressed with what I've heard from these guys. I want you, autonomy. I want you, autonomy. Yeah, that was a hell of a tune. I really like the way they well, I love that. I don't want to call it a guitar lead. I mean, you know what I mean? That wasn't Eddie Van Halen there, but it was great. It complemented the song really well, and the way they manipulated and kind of sort of winded down the tempo there at the end, to kind of wrap things up, was nice. Clever little maneuver. Yeah, I like this song. This is a good one. Back to John. All right. I'm pretty sure I was right on that one. Going going into the nature of what the song was about, which given the time that this probably came out, well, probably it could have come out yesterday and it would still be apropos. So yeah, this it made sense like what his perspective was in the song from kind of like a lyric standpoint. But I really loved from a music standpoint the way it started out with this drum beat that captures your attention immediately, and then it's almost it continued. The mantle is carried by the electric guitars that come in, these thunderous electric guitars that kind of come in and continue to like really capture your attention. And this is pretty much the pace for the rest of the song, until like the very end, but we'll get to that. I remember him, like the chorus of the refrain is "I want true autonomy" is essentially what it's almost like a plea or like a demand that he's asserting, which given the circumstances I can completely empathize with. Then around 2:30 there's introduced this new guitar bit that's not, kind of like a lead but not really. I mean, the song is so rhythm based, but there's this lead guitar part that's, I mean, not cut from the cloth of Eddie Van Halen, but still doing something alternative and new that you haven't yet heard from a guitar in the song. And it's complementing it so well. Like it doesn't have to like melt your face to do its job. And in fact, it probably would have been a huge distraction had it. So this is perfect for what was happening in the song, the guitar work that was done around this 2:30 mark. Also, I mentioned this after the lead or a little bit during the lead, but really it applies to the whole song whenever they came about. But there was just amazing drum fills. Like the guy starts the song on the drums and you're like, okay, this is going to be fun to listen to from a drumming perspective. But he adds all these fills in it and the bass is right on cue with him. So there's just the rhythm section is really holding it down. And I really loved that sound. And then as I alluded to earlier, this isn't the world's longest song, so I don't have like a shit ton of notes here. But
Yeah.
as the song's winding down, they really play with the tempo and the progression that they're going through, and it kind of slows itself down to a stop, which I thought was really fun and different. And you know, that's not something that's used a lot, and it takes like acute awareness of timing to nail that down. I mean, obviously this is in a studio, so that could have taken a million takes, so they could have done it in one. But either way, it sounds really great when they do it, and it's produced that well. So yeah, this was a good one, man. So far this is like a handful of Buzzcocks songs and an individual like Peter Shelley tune that I heard from his, I guess, solo stuff. And I've liked them all. They've all been really, really good with me. So thank you for sharing.
Cool. Yeah, just a couple of points on that. So this song was a B-side to single I Don't Mind, Autonomy. There you go. The B-side. Such a good song. It was actually written by the guitarist Steve Diggle.
Is that the guy that's taken over singing?
Yes.
Now that Shelley's passed away?
Yeah, I mean, he always, I mean, one of the sort of things I loved about Buzzcocks when I first heard them was the harmonies, etc. And so he's always singing with Pete Shelley, you know, in lots of songs. But yeah, he's taken over that sort of lead vocals as well now. So the single got to 55 in the UK charts. Both tracks were from their debut album, Another Music in a Different Kitchen. And there's a couple of things. I mean, it's just a great song with this great tempo, the drums starting, and then the guitar comes in, and it's galloping guitar. I mean, it's almost militaristic in the way to, you know, fantastic riff. And as you say,
oh, the riff's awesome, primo riff.
The riff, and then this guitar bit comes in, but it's almost like they interweave together really well. They're not dissimilar, and so that gives it that structure and makes it work. And then the sort of the mini solo, as you know, as I call it, really, it's not much of a solo, but that segues into that you know, slow down at the end, which is fantastic. And I've seen them do it live, and they do it perfect as well, you know. And it's just great, but it has that sort of air of power to it as well, which is awesome. I didn't bring up the information. I'll just check it. Yeah, I think the drummer was John Mayer on this one. Mayer, sorry. And he is a fantastic drummer on all their tracks.
You can hear it. You can hear it.
Really, really good. And the other thing is, it's actually a it's kind of like, I don't know, Steve Diggle writes it, but it's kind of like a double entendre. So the lyrics they're quite strange, but I mean, they're not complicated or whatever. I'll run you through it really quickly because there's not a lot to it. It's a thing that's worth having. Yes, I would. Buys you your life, sir, if it could. And then it goes, I want you, autonomy. And it kind of, it's a sort of double.
I want you, autonomy. Like he's talking to autonomy, but also I want you on top of me. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's, you know, 1978. That's as risque as you could get then, I should think.
Yeah.
In terms of that.
Well, I've also come to expect these little mechanisms from him.
Yeah, of course.
Homo sapien, where it's like,
yeah,
I'm a human, but I'm also homosexual, and it's like he's really leaned into the homo part of Homo sapien in that song, and he plays with that. And I hear right when you said double entendre, I was like, yep, yeah, I know where he's going with this one. So that's interesting and fun.
And then there's just a couple more verses and choruses. It leaves us all wondering, and it should. This awkward something for the good. I want you, autonomy. Yes, it leaves us all wondering, as it should. This awkward something for the good. I want you, autonomy. So yeah, it's just quite fun, but it's a great song, and it's an absolute belter. There's some of their other songs. I've got quite a few of their singles, and they're collected on this Singles Going Steady, which is one of the few compilations that I would recommend people getting. You know, compilations usually tend to be fairly, but this is a Bobby Dazzler. And there's quite a lot of the songs on there are that in that vein of that pop punk. Fantastic catchy melodies, beautiful harmonies as well. Everybody's happy these, you know, nowadays. And Promises is a really great song. Do you know, my mind's gone blank as the other tracks on there, but I've always loved Autonomy. It's been that one. It's stood out slightly different in terms of the muscular guitar work and the drumming really driving it through.
It's so confusing to me, the decision-making process for what is a single, what is a B-side.
Well, funny enough, the one you listened to, which was Why Can't I Touch It, that was a B-side as well to this, which is Everybody's Happy Nowadays. And the B-side, I think you see, is Why Can't I Touch It. Both great songs. Harmony in My Head. Oh yeah, Something's Gone Wrong Again. That's another great single. I haven't got all of them, but I've got a few. And yeah, I know sometimes this is my favorite song by them as well, because it's got a couple of killer chord changes in sort of pre-chorus. Promises. And Lipstick is another great song as well, and very funny as well.
Are those hits? Are those like singles that weren't like B-sides? Like Autonomy?
They all skirted around the edges of the charts without actually getting sort of on there. I think the only one really that troubled the charts would have been Ever Fallen in Love with Someone You Shouldn't Have Fallen in Love With. Let me just, where's the discography? I was going to check on Wiki. Here we go. Bing a bang a boom. And it'll have the singles, compilations, extended play, singles. It's got the chart. Here we go. Yeah, Ever Fallen in Love with Somebody You Should Have Fallen in Love With, 12. Promises, 20. Everybody's Happy Nowadays, 29. these are the peak positions, 37, yeah,
Do
57.
do
Yeah.
these hits, these charting songs by theirs, do they touch on the same subject matter that the two songs that I've listened to do, where he talks about his bisexuality or his attraction to men in some regard, and or I'm wondering, were the politics of the time what drove these songs that would otherwise be chart worthy because of their poppy sounds? Were they kind of suppressed because of the nature lyrically of the tune? Because that's what I'm trying to wrap my head around.
No, I would say that actually Homo sapien was the first one that was really out, as it were. I mean, their first single was called Orgasm Addict, and it's just a silly nonsense song, and it's quite funny as well. But I mean, they all have this aspect to them of somewhat of I wouldn't say a wetness to it, but it's like, oh, nothing goes right for me, and it's so unfair and all that sort of stuff. So what do I get? I don't mind. Love you more, ever fall in love with someone, promises, everyone's happy nowadays, harmony in my head. No, not that one. But I mean, they're all this of that same sort of ilk of it's not quite got right for Pete. And he's a bit pissed off about it. But I mean, they're all, one thing about them is the guy has got an amazing ear for a melody. I mean, he really has, and they're all killer players at the band as well, So I think, yeah, Homo sapiens the one where it really, although it's still hidden, it's really to the fore. And if you want to see that message, you will, and if you don't want to see it or ignorant, you won't. Which I think's one of the geniuses of that song, really.
Yeah,
it's so clever. It speaks to.
And I'm also listening to it 30 years later or whatever, when so much culturally and societally has evolved, even though we're not where we should be, that I can hear it and kind of pick up pretty quickly that he was talking about that. Whereas at the time, perhaps it was easier to keep that from the frontal lobe.
Yeah, I mean, how many songs would have mentioned anything to do with homosexuality back then? Virtually none I can think of. I mean, someone like Bronski Beat, Jimmy Somerville, they came out. That would have been early 80s, I'd say 83, 84 maybe. Their first song was it called Hometown Boy? And it's like the video of him sort of running away from home because his parents didn't understand and all this sort of thing. So it's not really mentioned. But they were openly gay, all members of the band, and and they got a lot of stick as well, because it was, all that, dodgy conservative politics trying to ban homosexual teachings in schools. You had the sort of the rumor mill of AIDS coming through, that being sort of a gay disease at the time, and also, and culturally, like the press were just, really anti-gay, even though probably half the people running it were gay. And same with the TV channels are all in the closets, and half the MPs would have had their rent boys and stuff, but banging on about family values and all that sort of thing. There's huge hypocrisy,
the same hypocrisy rings true over here. We've seen it too. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that was a really brave thing for him to do then, but the one thing I love about it the most was how clever it was as well. It's not just it's clever that, as I say, it would reach the people that it needed to reach.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't want to be ridiculous with how I'm drawing comparisons here, but the way that you have to write around that reminds me of like the early thinkers coming out of the Dark Ages and how they had to like write their theories about the universe in such a way that didn't ruffle the feathers of the church at the time, which was such a huge power. So they had to, like, from fear of like, being thrown in a dungeon for the rest of their lives, or, or worse, they'd have to write around that and somehow bring it back to this deity or something like that. And it's the cleverness around how you write around an issue is something that Shelley seems to employ. And it reminds me of, for whatever reason, it takes me back to anecdotes about those kind of thinkers just before the Age of Enlightenment and everything like that. So
Yeah.
anyway, weird, but that's where it took me. And anyway, at any rate, I do appreciate you sharing this one with me. It's always interesting, even if the song's just okay, which I mean, I haven't even, all of them have been good or better from Shelley and the Buzzcocks. But even if it weren't, it's still, he still gives you enough evocative, stuff to discuss that it's always fun cutting it up about him in his songs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
cool. All right, well, go ahead and wrap this one up for us, John, if you'd like to.
Okay, well, thanks for listening to this, Andy. And for everybody out there, obviously there's loads of Buzzcock fans, and this must be a fan favorite, I'm guessing, with a lot of you. Let us know in the comments. Let us know what other Buzzcock songs you really like. If you like this, why am I saying if? When you like this, hit the like button. We really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. Join us. Join us. Join us.
The water's fine.
Just got some sort of image of a massive hot tub, but yeah. That being said, thanks again for watching our ramblings. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see all of you on the next episode of Into the Music.